Hello, welcome back to the Horfield Astronomy channel on YouTube. This is the second video, and in this video I'm going to go through my initial setup and exactly what I do on an evening of astro imaging. So without further ado, let's make our way outside. Okay, let's get straight into it then. So initially the most important thing to do is to turn on the size scan on the mount. And I'm going to talk you through exactly what we do, or what I do on a nightly basis, setting up the scope, ready for some astrophotography. I'm hoping you can see this. So initially what we do is we press enter on the size scan system. Now a warning comes up telling you never to point the telescope at the sun, etc, etc. Okay, so what we would do on that case is we would press enter again. Set longitude. Now, as I've said in the previous video, this is a permanent mount, so the longitude, latitude is all set already. It's also set on the computer system in the shed over there. So all I would do there is set longitude is 2 degrees 57, latitude here in Bristol in the UK 5147, and then set the time zone. So the time zone is London time zone, Greenwich Mean Times as 0, and then set the elevation. Now I know that the elevation here in Bristol in my back garden is 31 meters above sea level, so that's already preset. So you press enter and then it's asking for the date. Okay, so the date is the 10th, which is October. Date is the 4th, put the 4 in, 2019. So we press enter there, and then the time. The time at this present moment is exactly 1901, so I would press 1901, press enter again. Daylight saving at the moment in the UK is still in effect, so we press, so it should be set as yes. Polaris position. Now, as I said before, because it's a permanent mount, I've already set this mount up to be perfectly aligned with the pole star. I will do a video eventually on polar alignment, but for the purposes of this video, what I've actually done is I've put some links in of what other astronomers and astrophotographers have done. There's some really good ones out there on YouTube, and I've put a few links in. They give you a very good talk and walkthrough of polar alignment on their scopes. But as I said, eventually I will do one for this setup. So we press enter and enter. Begin alignment. 1 is yes, 2 is no, so you press 1. Alignment method. Now with the size scan you can have a 1, 2 or 3 star alignment. Now because this is permanent, again this is a permanently based telescope, I do a 1 star alignment. That works perfectly well for me. You could do a 2 star, you could do a 3 star, but as I said, because everything is set and everything is set in the shed, it works just fine. So press 1 for 1 star alignment, press enter, and it says choose first star. Well, normally this time of year I use Arcturus, which roughly is in the There we're in the western horizon. So we'll press enter there. And what should happen, if you've done everything correctly, is the scope should start slowing to your first alignment star. Okay, so now we've moved into the shed. Initially what I would do now is I would start up PH2 guiding first, PhD2. So we'll do that. I'm hoping you can see everything that I'm doing on screen. Okay, so PH2 guiding is up. The next thing I do now is connect my guide camera and the scope itself. There we go, that brings up the little hand controller icon there that we don't need. But what I am going to do is I've got this set to at an exposure duration of 1.5 seconds. This is basically to make sure I'm pointing at Arcturus. So we'll start looping, and there we go. Arcturus, I don't know whether you can see, is in the screen in front of me there. I've moved the camera slightly, so now you should be able to see the screen a bit more clearly. So this here is Arcturus. So what I'm doing at this juncture now, we won't be beginning to guide yet. I'm moving the PH2 guiding out of the way up to the top screen, so that's disappearing off to your right now. Just get rid of that. The next thing that we open up is a piece of software called Astrophotography Tool. Now, I don't use this for the astrophotography itself. What I actually use this for, and I'll just click through all these, is I actually use this for my alignment. So what I would do, again, everything's connected, take an initial shoot. This would be a 30-second exposure. So I've got an initial shot. What I would do then in Astrophotography Tool is go into gear. First of all, I connect the scope. Scope's connected. I go to objects, which is over on the right hand side. That gives me a list of pretty much everything in the sky within Astrophotography Tool. But what I'm looking for is the tab that says stars, and if I scroll down you'll find Arcturus. There it is. You click OK, and then what we're going to do then is we'll click on a button called Point Craft. And what Point Craft is part of the plate solving tool. So once Point Craft is open, you click on objects, it will automatically bring up Arcturus because that was the last one you hit. Click OK, and then what you then do is you click on the button called solve, and what that does is it goes away, it loads of star charts, and it finds it. Basically that's it in a nutshell. And if it finds it, it brings up status success, which is just there. Okay, and then what you do then is you then sync those results. I then go to the bottom, which says center field of view at position. So basically what this is going to do is going to put Arcturus smack bang in the middle of the screen. So click on objects, again Arcturus. Now you'll see that there's a slight RA and declination. There's a slight difference. So what this does now is if once I press go to, it will tell my scope to go and move that star from that position to the center position. And it will take a series of photos, images, while it's doing that. There's the scope slewing. Okay, so it's now found the center. So Arcturus is dead center of the screen there. So now that we've got Arcturus dialed into the center of the screen, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use what's called a Batonov mask, and I'm just going to go and check the focus to make sure that everything's dialed in and everything's nice before we go off and find our object. So I'm just going to pop out a moment, go and do the focus check, and then we'll continue. Now what this check does with the Batonov mask is it basically allows you to see whether or not your focus is dead on. I'll explain, I hope, if you can see on the screen, once I've done a quick 30-second exposure. Then I'll try and explain exactly what a Batonov mask does. You probably already know this, and how it works and how it looks on the screen and how you can tell whether or not your focus is out, etc. So we're counting down now, 5 more seconds, and the picture should come through, and I'm hoping my focus is dead on. So there we go. So yeah, so it's ever so I don't know whether you can see this, I don't know whether it's ever so slightly out, so it's just to the left a little bit. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to sort out the focus, and then we'll get back to finding the object for tonight's astrophotography. Okay, so focus is dialed in. What I didn't explain to you was what you're actually looking for is there's a series of lines that go across the star with the Batonov mask. There's like a crosshairs, and then there's a line that goes smack down through the middle of the star. What you're looking to do is you're looking to align that line basically smack bang in the middle. Once that's done, now in theory that should be dead on focus. I've got it as best as I can. I think it looks really good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take one more shot of Arcturus just to double check to make sure I'm happy, and then we'll do the next step. And the next step will bring to open up a program called Stellarium, and that is basically just so I know exactly where I am in the whole scheme of things in the night sky. Yeah, that's fine. I'm really happy with that. I hope you can see that on the computer. So what we're going to do now is we're not going to close down Astrophotography tool yet, but what I am going to do is I'm going to open up Stellarium. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open up Stellarium Scope, which is an extra to Stellarium, and what it does is basically it connects your scope and everything, so Stellarium knows exactly which way your scope is pointing in the sky. So we'll do that quickly. So connect scope, yes. Start Stellarium. I'll just minimize that, and Stellarium should open, and there it is. Now you might notice that I've actually got my back garden superimposed on Stellarium. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a link into this video, and basically the guy explains exactly how you can do this, and I think it's a really good idea. This was taken with a 360 camera that I basically sat on top of my scope and created it from there. I'm just going to add all the bits and pieces, the constellation lines, Let's add the deep sky objects. There they are. So at this present moment in time, if we slew around, okay, so Arcturus is there. I'm just going to move my pinpointer across to where Arcturus is. So now I've got an idea where everything is. Arcturus now, in a minute, will go behind the tree. So that's why it looks like it's over here behind the tree on this one. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to minimize Stellarium, because now I've got that open. I'm going to show you what we're going to, actually I won't minimize Stellarium. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what we're going after tonight. And if I can find it, it's the Pegasus cluster, which should be over here. There it is. So that's what we're after tonight. Okay, I don't know whether you can see that clearly, it's just there. So if I zoom in a little bit on screen, it's a star. It's a star cluster. It's M15. It's a globular star cluster that we're going after. Hopefully, I'd like to get some nice images like that back. So what we're going to do is going to go back to Astrophotography tool, and we'll do the next step. And the next step is, if I just close that down, move that up to the top computer out of the way. Okay, so the next step now will be to use Astrophotography tool to go and find the Pegasus cluster. As I did before, go to Objects in the Gear tab. This time we're going to Deep Sky, and I'm looking for M15, which is the Pegasus cluster. There it is. So you click OK. It puts the coordinates in, and then it actually gives you a rough idea, if you can just see the circle on there, of what it's going to look like on screen. So all I will do now is I will click Go To, and off goes my scope. So my scope now is slowing off to the Pegasus cluster. Don't know whether you can hear that in the background. And like I said, all these bits of all this photography software, most of it's freeware. Astrophotography tool you can use for a trial, and the trial doesn't run out really. Stellarium's free. PhD 2. I can't remember whether I paid for that or not. I don't believe I did. So all this software, again, you're not spending any money on different bits of software to run your telescope. You know, all you basically need is a computer, and I'm running this off an old computer of mine, which I've had for about 5 years. So what we'll do now, we'll take a shot. And basically what that's doing is that's going to take a 30-second shot, and we'll have a look and see what comes back. Once we've taken this 30-second shot of the area where the Pegasus cluster is, we will then do plate solve using Astrophotography tool again. Exactly the same routine as we did for Arcturus. So I'll just wait for the picture to come through. There we are. Okay, so now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to the point craft button, objects. Again, it always remembers the last object, so it's M15 Pegasus cluster. Click OK. You then ask the computer to plate solve, to make sure it's in the right part of the sky. So click solve. So it's looking for it, and it's found it. Okay, so we would then make sure it's synced, and then go down to center point, field of view, our position. Okay, so you look for the objects again, Pegasus cluster, click OK, and then what we do then is we ask it to go to, and what it'll do now, it'll go away and it'll find it exactly and put it smack bang in the middle. So it just go off now. The telescope's out there slewing into position. It'll take a series of pictures to make sure it's happy. All this time what it's doing is it's checking a catalogue of stars. It checks the image that was taken against the catalogue of stars, and that's how the plate solving works. And it's really accurate. I always use this system now. Using the 1, 2 or 3 star alignment on the Singe scan is great, and it works really well. But I find now using plate solving to finalise and get everything smack bang pinpoint where you want it is the way to go. I don't think I'll use anything else. Right, I don't know whether you can see that. I'm hoping you can, but there it is. There's the it's pretty much found it, and it's smack bang in the reticle. What I'm going to do, 1 second, bear with me now. It's still doing its thing. I was almost going to turn it off then, which would have kind of like knackered it up a little bit, but so it's still actually looking for the Pegasus cluster. Well, the Pegasus cluster's there. It's just come back with a really good image. I think you may just be able to see it on the screen there. As I said, if I wanted to, I could use Astrophotography tool for the imaging, but I use another bit of software which I find works a lot better. So what it's done now is it's put the M15, the Pegasus cluster, smack bang in the middle of the screen. Simple as that. That's it, it's done. So what I do now is I will click off that. I disconnect the scope from Astrophotography tool, and I close it down, because that's it, I don't need it anymore. I then go to another bit of software which you probably would have heard of, called SharpCap, and that's what I use to do my imaging every night. So we'll just wait for SharpCap to open. Just reconnect the camera, which is my Altair 183C Pro. And what I've got over here is I've got some profiles. Now I load a profile that I use all the time basically for this type of thing, because I'm quite used to just wait for that train to go by. We're about a quarter of a mile away from the main line into Bristol Temple Mead, so it gets a bit noisy out here on a night. So, as I was saying, yeah, so I've got a setup that I use, and this setup is basically a for tonight especially, it's going to be a 69-second exposure, analog gain of 420, black level of 24, the temperatures and everything is on. And we're just waiting for the first frame to come through now, and then once that's done, we can pretty much start capturing the image of the Pegasus cluster. Just waiting for the first frame to come through. Now again, I could do a whole session, and I will do a whole session on SharpCap Pro. The purposes of this video is just show you what I do to start my astro imaging every night, what my setup is and my workflow is. Tonight at the moment it's just gone 8 o'clock, so tonight I'll probably do 4 or 5 hours on the Pegasus cluster. I will then do continue, and I think the next video is probably going to be processing the Pegasus cluster to produce the image at the end, the images that you may have seen on my website. So what we're just going to do now is I'm just going to, and there it is, there's the Pegasus cluster. I'm hoping you can see that. I've just stretched it. Let me just see if I can zoom in a little bit to the screen a little bit better. I'm just going to do the, pardon me, there we are. Let me just lift this up this is all live, so I do apologise if the camera's moving a little bit, but I'm just trying to allow you to get the best possible view of the image. So that there is the Pegasus cluster. That's just one shot, one image basically. And what I'll do is I'll sequence that now over the course of the next 4 or 5 hours till about 1 o'clock tomorrow, 1 o'clock this morning, or tomorrow morning should I say. And yeah, that's it basically. What I'll explain to you now is up here at the top there's something called capture, and all you click is start capture, and it asks you how many frames, time limit. It allows you to perform a sequence of captures if you were doing like a I don't know, like a larger picture, or something similar to that. In this case I've set it to do 300 images. So what it'll do now is if I press start, it will now start taking 300 images over the course of the next 5 hours. ETA, it tells you, is going to be about 5 to 2 this morning. I may well not do 5 hours worth. I had a long day. I've been up since 5 o'clock. But what I will do is I'm going to move the camera now and just show you how I set up the auto guiding. PhD 2 is already set up on my system. Again, I'll put a link to setting up PhD 2 at the bottom of this video. I will do a video on all these different bits of software, but as I said, just tonight all I wanted to do was just show you how I go through and set up an initial viewing session. So what we're looking to do is auto select star, which is what it's done there, with an SNR of 44, and then we just click guide, and that's it. It will start guiding on that star. So we've gone through everything. The stars is guiding, the guiding looks good. We've got it all to 0.2, 0.1 on the deck, 0.2 on the RA, which is really good. Overall it's 0.2, so that's a really good guiding at the moment. And that's the imaging session already. It's going, it's done. The camera and the telescope will do its thing for the next 4 or 5 hours. So that's it for another video here at Horfield Observatory here in Bristol. I hope you've enjoyed it. I think I've kind of gone over everything I do for an image, for a night of imaging. I don't think there's anything I missed out. As always, please leave your comments if you think I could have done something better, or there's something I didn't include. If there's anything that you didn't quite understand, please message me. Like I said, leave a comment, and I'll try to go in a little bit more detail. I will go into detail, coinciding with the video log. I also do a blog on my website as well. I'll put a link to that in the bottom of the YouTube video, and that will go into a lot more detail of what I've done tonight, explaining a few bits and pieces and things like that. And that's it. That's pretty much from start to finish. That's what I do every night. Now there might be some astrophotographers out there that think that maybe I'm doing things slightly wrong. I don't know. I've pretty much looked at YouTube and picked up bits and pieces off of different people. That's the way I would suggest you go. It's trial and error. It's good fun. I love it. It's getting quite cold at the moment out here at the moment, but I'm getting some really nice images coming back of M15. As I said, once I've done the full imaging session, we'll do a session on what I do, my workflow for processing the pictures. and then that'll be it. I'd just like to say thank you very much to the 30 plus people out there that have subscribed to my channel so far. That's wonderful. I wasn't expecting anybody to subscribe to my channel, but to have 30 people from my initial video. I've put up the channel trailer while I was creating this one and and figuring out what I was going to say in this one. I talk a lot of babble, I understand that. I hope through the babble you've picked up a bit of clarity about exactly what I've done tonight. Like I said, I really enjoy doing these video logs. I will be doing lots more. There's a lot more stuff that I can talk about. I could talk all evening, bore the pants off you. But from a point of view of the initial setup, what I do on an evening, this is it. It's done. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please leave a comment. Again, thanks very much for subscribing. You don't know how much it means to me. It's really good that people are actually watching my videos. It's fantastic. And that's it. I hope you have a good evening or a good day wherever you are in the world, and clear skies, and I'll see you soon.